Hi everyone, it's Michelle Caruana, creator of Play Cafe Academy, and in today's video I am going to walk you through really quickly a 5-step framework that I use for all of my Play Cafe Academy members and my Playmaker Society students, and it really just helps to clarify a business idea, make sure it's going to be profitable in your area, because let's be honest, not every business model is going to be profitable in every single area, and really give somebody the exact next steps that they need in order to move forward with their idea. But before I get into the framework, I just wanted to address a comment that I got on Facebook recently. And when you reach any level of success or any level of exposure and you're putting yourself out there online, you're going to get negative comments. You're going to get some people that just don't like what you're doing. Maybe they're jealous, maybe they, wish they were doing what you're doing, maybe they're not seeing, this level of success that they want in their own life, or whatever the reason. I tend to ignore negative comments because, unless of course it's constructive criticism, which I try to be pretty receptive to, but sometimes I just get flat out negative comments, and I know that I am living my passion. I know that I am helping business owners and entrepreneurs, so I tend to just ignore that and just keep doing what I'm doing and serving the people that do appreciate the content that I put out into the world. But this time I wanted to share this comment with you. So somebody commented and they said, I'm actually going to read it because I want to make sure I get it right. But this person says, she started a business to tell you how to start a business. Read your local municipality guidelines. Anyone can start a business. This is a scam. And it's especially peculiar that this comment was made on this particular ad because it's a free challenge that I'm hosting, and it actually goes right along with this framework. So I'm actually hosting a free Validate Your Business Idea in 5 days challenge starting September 21st. So if you see this video after September 25th when the challenge wraps up, you can still sign up. I'm going to give you the details on how to sign up at the end of this video, but this person commented this on a free challenge ad, which is pretty funny because it's not really a scam if I'm not asking for anything other than your email address. But anyways, I read these words and immediately I wanted to get defensive, and I wanted to say, how dare you say my business is a scam? I spend so much time putting free content and, value out into the world. How dare you? But when I read a little bit closer, I wanted to bring this comment to your attention because it really is misguided, and it's true a little bit in that anybody absolutely can start a business. However, that thinking is what contributes to the fact that 80% of brick and mortar businesses end up failing within their first year of business. 80% of brick and mortar businesses end up failing within their first year of business. And unfortunately, that's in large part due to the fact that everybody thinks they can start a business. Everybody thinks that just because they know how to fill out the paperwork and they know how to sign a lease and they have a pretty good idea of what it entails, that they're all set and that's pretty much all they need to do. And unfortunately, that is why the failure rate is so high. So I'm just going to read my response, and this is, specifically towards indoor playgrounds, but it's certainly true of any brick and mortar business. In fact, indoor playgrounds have an even higher failure rate than 80% within the first year of business. It's higher than that because a lot of people unfortunately lead with their passion, and they think, if I'm really passionate about this business, people are going to feel it and they're going to understand how much I want to make a positive impact in my community. And they really skip the validation process, they skip the market research, they skip the competitive analysis, and they just kind of go forward with their dream business, and it often ends up being misaligned with what their community is actually asking for. And again, that is a huge reason for the high failure rate of brick and mortar businesses, and specifically indoor playground businesses. So my response says, hello, and I'm not going to say this person's name, but it says, hello, person's name. The indoor play industry is certainly nuanced, and the information on how to make this specific business model profitable is not readily available in the places you're referring to. And he referred to the municipality guidelines, basically the legal steps on how to open a business. So it really doesn't even make sense. And then I said, and not every business model, again, can be profitable in every area. The 80% brick and mortar business failure rate suggests that while anyone can start a business, most lack the knowledge and know-how to make them successful. Luckily, I have the knowledge, resources, and passion to help. So that was my response. And just again, before I walk through this framework, I really truly believe that if you have the knowledge and resources and experience to help people, you should go do it. I did not start a business to tell people how to start a business. I started an indoor playground business because I wanted to have a business that I could bring my family to, that would serve my family instead of the other way around. Because so often when somebody opens a brick and mortar business, they become a slave to that operation. And I really wanted something different, somewhere again that I could bring my kids. And that is why I started a business. And then once I made a lot of stumbles, I hit a bunch of roadblocks. I made a ton of mistakes my first couple years in business. And luckily, I was able to get over that first year, that second year, that third year, and I was able to crack the code to success in this industry. And then came the business where I said, you know what? I'm seeing all these businesses open for the same passionate reasons that I opened my own business, but they didn't go to business school like I did. They don't have, degrees. They don't have corporate marketing experience like I do. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't make it past that first year. So I kind of made it my mission in life to make sure that no other indoor playground or really any brick and mortar business goes it alone. I want to make sure that if they do come across hurdles and struggles, that I give them the knowledge and the experience that I learned, and it really avoids a lot of the mistakes that I made. It helps them skip a lot of the hardship, skip a lot of the money pits that I fell into, because again, not everybody is fortunate enough to make it out of those struggles. So that is where this business came to be. I didn't start a business to tell people how to start a business. I saw the need. I saw all of these business owners struggling, and then I decided to help them, a lot of them through my free resources. So again, if you are interested in getting the more detailed version of this framework that I'm going to walk through very quickly, you can go to your5daychallenge.com. We're going to start Monday, September 21st. Every single day, I'm going to get a really deep dive into these steps. And I'm also going to be going live inside a Challenger participant Facebook group. And only people that are participating in the free challenge, people that sign up at your5daychallenge.com, get to be in this Facebook group. And I'm going to be going live answering any questions every single day. And I have a lot of really fun, amazing bonus trainings and discounts and things like that available only to the people who sign up for this challenge. But without further ado, I'm just going to walk through this very simple framework. And then if you would like the deep dive, you can join us at your5daychallenge.com. All right, so the first step of validating your local business idea, specifically an indoor playground business, is to refine your business idea. So as I mentioned, a lot of people just have this dream on either their Pinterest boards or in their head, and they say, okay, this is what I want my business to look like. But they really don't realize what that dream business has in terms of implications on your personal life, your relationships, your personal finances, and stuff like that. So there are a couple questions that I usually ask my challenge participants when they're refining their business idea, and they're taking this Pinterest board, they're taking this dream vision, and they're clarifying it and really coming up with a business philosophy and a positioning statement. And again, I teach people how to come up with this sort of statement in a step-by-step way in the challenge. But the three questions that I like to ask are, number one, what size team do you envision? Because a lot of people envision just themselves being behind the counter, and they don't really want to take on a team. That's really just not their style. They want to be the face. They want to be there every single day. They want to really just live the business. And while I don't always recommend that, because it can be a lot harder to sell that type of business, it can be a lot harder for somebody else to step in the event that someone gets sick or, something happens, God forbid. But some people just don't want a large team. Either they want to work themselves or they only want 1 or 2 employees to manage. Because let's be honest, when you're managing a 20 to 25 person team, or really even like a 5 to 6 person team, there are stresses. There's hiring, there's firing, there's people not showing up, there's employee arguments, there's setting your hierarchy up between your different staff members, there's training. There's a lot that goes into having a team. And of course, there's development, there's developing you as a manager or whoever you end up hiring, and there's also costs and risk associated with hiring a team. So a lot of people want to keep that small, and I really invite people to do some, introspection and see, what kind of business, what kind of team you envision having, because it can definitely differ from person to person. I had between a 6 and a 7 person team at any given time, and while it was pretty stressful, it also allowed me to take a step back from my business and really focus on my family and not be there very often. Only if I wanted to be there was I actually physically present in my facility. So for me, that was the sweet spot. And our space, to give you a little bit of an idea, was 2,500 square feet. We were open 7 days a week. So that type of space, that type of hours really required about 5 to 7 people at any given time, not including myself, to run. All right, the second question that I ask people is, how risk averse are you? So when I went into this, I was very risk averse, and I'm still risk averse. That's just how I was born. And so I didn't want to open like a huge 40,000 square foot facility. I really felt more comfortable with a smaller footprint space, with that 2,500 square foot space. And I know a lot of people will go as small as 1,500 square feet, and they'll make that work because the rent's going to be smaller, the overhead's going to be smaller, the startup costs are going to be smaller, your team's going to be smaller. So overall, it's definitely less risk to take on. And a lot of people think, I can start small and then I can add a second location, or I can expand, or whatever the case may be. So if that's you, if you are a more risk-averse person, you might be a great fit for a smaller space. Now, if you have bigger startup funds, if you want to buy a building, if you have a lot more appetite for risk, then you might want to open a bigger facility. But I will caution you to say that more money sometimes does equal more problems. With a bigger space, again, you're going to have, like I said, more overhead. You're going to need a bigger team. There's going to be a lot more details that you're going to have to figure out every single day, week, and month. So really just sit down, talk with your stakeholders, your spouse if you have one, anyone that's going to be involved in the process, and kind of see how much risk you are willing to take on at the very beginning of your business. And then the third question that I like to ask people is, what are your strengths? What are you good at? Are you a teacher that's really good at setting up learning and education type spaces? Are you a businesswoman like me who is really good at marketing and behind the scenes stuff and setting up revenue streams? Are you great at social media? Are you great at music? Are you a music teacher and you want to develop a music-based curriculum? I always ask people what their strengths are, because whatever you are not strong in, you're going to have to outsource. And some tasks like business, accounting, bookkeeping, those are going to be a little bit more expensive to outsource as opposed to hiring like a class teacher on a contract class to class basis. So I urge you to write down a list of things you're good at, things you are not good at that you'll likely need to outsource, and then kind of start pricing those things out. How much would it take you to hire an accountant? How much would it cost to hire a bookkeeper? And then that's going to be able to bring more light to the picture around what you're going to need in terms of startup costs, what that's going to mean in terms of your risk, and things like that. So those are the 3 questions that I urge people to ask themselves in step 1 in refining your business idea. And hopefully that will bring a little bit more clarity around the mission of your business. The second step in validating a local business idea is completing competitive analysis. And the biggest mistake that I see a lot of people make here is that they only look at direct competitors. So using indoor playgrounds as an example, a lot of times people will only look at other indoor playgrounds or other indoor play facilities. However, depending on your business focus, like for example, at Climbing Vines, our business focus was always birthday parties. I urge people to look at whoever offers those services in your area. So not just indoor playgrounds, but recreation centers, lodges. So in our area, our biggest competitor for birthday parties was actually lodges and rental halls, because we did mostly first and second birthday parties. So the children are generally a little bit younger. There's a lot of adults at the parties. So we weren't necessarily competing with other indoor playgrounds or the Strong Museum of Play, which is right in our backyard. We actually found ourselves competing with more of those types of places. So depending on what you're going to choose for your business focus, which we kind of talk about in step 4, look at all of the places that families, if you're opening an indoor playground, are spending money. Are they spending money on music classes? Are they spending money on hiking groups, parenting groups? where are they spending their money, where are they spending their time, and who is competing against all of the services that you're going to offer, not just indoor playgrounds. So again, I outline this in a lot more detail in my Validate Your Business Idea Challenge. But basically, the little sneaky places that I tell people to look for competitive strengths and weaknesses are Google reviews, Facebook reviews, parenting groups on Facebook, Instagram. Really dig in and see, okay, what are people saying that they love about the facility in these places? What are they saying that they don't like? What are people commenting on? What are people struggling with? What suggestions are people making? What kinds of people seem to frequent the facility? What age children? What type of parent? Homeschool, working parents, things like that. Those are all things that I tell people to look for. And then also scour all of their websites, see what their pricing is, see what their philosophy is, what spot they seek to fill inside of the community. And I give people like a full outline and a checklist to look for in all of these places to really complete this competitive analysis section. But those are my little places that I tell people to look, other than just the websites, other than just the social media pages. All right, the third step of validating your local business idea is to niche down and really find your niche through market research. So now we've done competitive analysis, we've outlined our strengths, we've determined our appetite for risk, and this step really asks us to kind of mesh all of those together and really look for any trends that we see. Are there any services that are lacking based on our competitive analysis? Are there any trends that we're seeing when people are commenting and people are reviewing our local businesses? And not only that, but do those needs and those holes and those lacking services, do they align with our strengths? Do they align with our appetite for risk? Do they align with the type of space that we envision? And this really strives to map out all of those and really find one specific niche that can make a business profitable in the area. Now, in the next step, we're going to talk about finding people that will actually pay for that, but it's really important in this step to choose a specific niche. So for Climbing Vines Cafe and Play, we decided based on all of those, first couple steps, we decided to open a business that was going to be geared towards children 5 and under, and our primary revenue stream was going to be birthday parties. Now, at the beginning, we definitely thought that our primary revenue source was going to be open play. However, that is a huge mistake that a lot of indoor playground owners make. Open play is a very unreliable source of income. I highly recommend choosing something that is a little bit more consistent, like either memberships or birthday parties or classes or something like that, which I've already made videos on that topic. I'm not going to get too far into that today, but in this step, I really outline, especially in my more detailed challenge, how to choose a niche and how to position that niche to really attract the right customers. And a lot of people think, I'm just going to open a business that's going to serve everybody, and I'm going to be versatile, and I'm going to speak to everybody, and I'm going to try to have a price point for everybody. And while that might seem good on paper and theoretically, one of my favorite sayings is that if you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. So if you try to make a 2,500 square foot space enjoyable for kids from 0 to 18, you're probably going to confuse a lot of people. You're probably not going to really nail any niche. You're probably going to spread yourself a little bit too thin in terms of, again, trying to please everybody. So the most successful indoor playgrounds that I've seen definitely choose not only a specific age group, but also a specific revenue stream, which again, I walk through very specifically in my challenge. And that really helps them stand out, and it helps them become known for something specific, and it really helps establish their reputation in their community as, again, the go-to for birthday parties, or the go-to for really high quality classes, or the go-to for sensory play, or something like that. So this step is really where you choose how you are going to be known in your community and how you're going to impact your community in a positive way. All right, the next step in validating your local business idea is to find and identify your ideal customers. So I have a very specific strategy that I encourage when it comes to focus groups. Now, after COVID and during COVID, it's a little bit different. So if you can do an in-person focus group session, definitely do it. There is really no better way to have a conversation with someone than face-to-face. But if you have to do it via Zoom or something like that, I still highly recommend requiring people to turn their video cameras on, because you don't only want to listen to their words, you really want to look at their body language too. And you want to encourage conversation between the participants, because yes, you can read reviews and you can read comments in parenting Facebook groups and things like that, but you really want to get the truth from the horse's mouth, I guess. And that's not one of my favorite sayings, but it's true. You want to ask questions. You want to ask, one of my favorite questions to ask, for example, is, if you could wave a magic wand and solve one problem that you face when you go to an indoor playground facility, what would that problem be? For a lot of people, it's accessibility. So they might have a child with special needs, either mental or physical. It might be, the check-in process being too slow. It might be cleanliness. There are all different sorts of issues that people struggle with when they visit indoor playground facilities. And sometimes that's not always immediately apparent when you're reading reviews or social media posts or something like that. So in my challenge, I actually give people a full checklist of questions to ask inside a focus group, to ask individuals. And I really feel like that is the secret formula in really pulling out what people want in a facility. And this step is also really where you figure out, okay, who am I looking for? Who is my ideal customer? Not only who wants my services, but who is willing to pay for my services. So bringing it back to Climbing Vines Cafe and Play, we focused on birthday parties, as I mentioned, but not just birthday parties. We focused on really upscale birthday parties. And all of our birthdays were private rentals of the whole facility, and it included a ton of customization and flexibility, but not everybody wants that, and not everybody is willing to pay for that. So when I was putting together my focus groups and when I was getting feedback, I was really careful to only listen to feedback and take feedback seriously from people who I felt like actually wanted and would be willing to pay for these services. Because a lot of times when you're just putting surveys out there on social media, or you're asking the parenting Facebook groups, you say, okay, what's a fair price for a birthday party? People are gonna lowball you. They're gonna give you the lowest price. And that to me is really the least effective way to do market research. So again, I have a very specific strategy around this that I share for free in my challenge. But the key here is to really focus on serving one specific ideal customer. So when I create this ICA, or ideal customer avatar, I actually give her a name. I give her an age. What does she like? What books does she read? What podcasts does she listen to? Where do her kids go to school? How old are her kids? What's her parenting philosophy? And coming up with this little avatar really helps me when I'm doing my website copy, when I'm sending out emails, when I'm posting on social media, because even though when we're doing these things, we're talking to a mass audience, whether it be, an email list of 10,000 or a social media following of 100, we often put out these posts and these pieces of copy like we're speaking to the masses. But when somebody reads our emails, or when somebody reads our social media posts, they're probably sitting by themselves in their kitchen, or they're scrolling through their phone in their car in the pickup line. They're reading it as an individual. So in this step, coming up with an ideal customer avatar and figuring out how to speak to that person on an individual one-to-one level is very often the key to business success. And choosing the right customer avatar is also very important. So again, I try to make her seem like a real person, her or him, seem like an actual person that I'm speaking to, and that helps me to be more conversational in my marketing, to be more personable, to really connect with those customers one-to-one, because that's going to be the way that they're going to actually feel heard, understood, and valued, and actually convert to paying customers. All right, so the last step of validating your local business idea is really perfecting your concept and moving forward. So in this step, we're really taking the vision from step one, taking our competitive analysis, taking our niche, taking our ideal customer avatar and all of our focus group material and all of our survey results, and really putting it all together and really moving all of those puzzle pieces to get a big picture. And a lot of times what the community is looking for doesn't align with our vision. It doesn't align with our risk appetite. It doesn't align with our strengths. And a lot of times when that happens, I'll tell people to kind of go back to step one. If you didn't get the results that you're looking for, either unfortunately your business vision isn't profitable in your area, or maybe just not profitable right now because these things are very fluid. These things are ever changing. You know, businesses for families pop up and they close all the time. So just because a business idea isn't profitable today doesn't mean it won't be profitable down the line. But again, this is a step where we really put all those pieces together and see what comes of it. See if our vision from step one is actually aligned with what the market needs and what people are willing to pay for. And this helps to kind of rewrite that business philosophy that we did so that everything is really meshing well together and that we know that we have a sustainable business that will actually make us money, that will serve our family, and that we won't become slaves to it. Because unfortunately, again, when I see people just rush to market with their idea because either they think it's what the market wants or they think it's what, parents in the area want, a lot of times that's, again, I hate using this word, but it's not aligned with either our strengths or it's not aligned with what's going to make us money. And while, yes, a lot of us go into business to make a positive impact and to make our kids and our spouse proud, you do need money to sustain a business. And if your end goal isn't aligned with your risk appetite or your strengths or what you like to do, that's going to lead to burnout. It's going to lead to business failure. It's going to lead to stress. It's going to lead to all sorts of awful things that I don't want for you, and I really hope you don't want them for yourself. So again, this was a really quick walkthrough of my 5-day Validate Your Business Idea framework. So if you would like my personal help in walking through this framework, if you want my workbook, all of my cheat sheets and my question list and all of that good stuff, if you want my personal help and my personal framework in validating your business idea, all you have to do is go to your5daychallenge.com and sign up. If you're watching before September 25th, 2020, it's absolutely free. However, after September 25th, I am going to go back to charging for this challenge because this information is so actionable, it's so valuable, and it's one of my most well-received challenges ever. And I was looking through my challenge that I did last year. I did this exact same challenge at the same time last year, and I was going through the comments and I was taking some screenshots, and so many of the people that were in that challenge are open now and they're thriving even during a pandemic. Like, for example, Tiffany was in the challenge that I did last December, and since then she's opened her play cafe. She has, of course, struggled through the pandemic, but the most important thing is that she took the steps and she did the work to validate her business idea before she opened, so she was able to not only make it through the pandemic, but actually be profitable and come out almost stronger because of everything that happened. So unfortunately, a lot of the people that, didn't take me up on the challenge or didn't join Play Cafe Academy after the challenge, either they didn't end up realizing their dream or, they opened and didn't have the right framework, and unfortunately, they didn't have the same success. But I really encourage you to join this group of challenge participants. We already have, I think, almost 60 people signed up. I only open up 100 spots per challenge. So if you would like to save your spot, I can just tell this is going to be our best challenge group yet. Sign up at your5daychallenge.com. And again, if you're watching this after September 2020, you can still sign up, but it's not going to be free anymore. So I will see all of you guys Monday. We're going to start day 1 on September 21st. I will see you there. Have a great day.